ACES interviews. Conversations to empower. Introducing Alex Vasquez.
Hello and welcome to ACES interview conversation to empower. I'm Leo, coach and speaker, and I'm joined today by Alex Vasquez, a digital content creator living in London, originally from Costa Rica. He moved to the UK in 2021. Alex created content about people with disability and LGBTQ plus community, where he highlights the intersectionality between diversity groups of human rights. He wants to raise awareness that an individual can belong to or more community at once and show how sexuality is ignored when it comes to those who have disabilities. Alex tried to do this while showcasing what it like to be a disabled immigrant in Europe who comes from Latin America. Alex, thanks for joining me. As the awareness around disability increases as a disabled career person, have you noticed a change in attitude when it comes to dating?
Thank you so much, Leo, for inviting me. I am very, very happy to be sharing this space with you. And to answer your question, I think, yes, disability awareness has been increasing. And with this, I think the perception in terms of sexuality for all different types of disabilities has changed. Not necessarily, in the most positive ways all the times, but it has definitely increased in the way that people are more open, I would say, to dating people with disabilities. Now, I think that my journey, because I'm originally from a country in the global South, right, in Latin America, it has been a complete shift, but I can also see the similarities. So it's been quite the wild journey. Let me explain myself. It's very hard for me to explain myself with these things because people think like, oh, okay, so you all of a sudden moved to London and you're probably married now, or you have been the fuckboy you always wanted to be. And that's not that's not the case. I also didn't want to be a fuckboy. I want to make sure that I get that on the on the record. But turns out that in Costa Rica, dating was way more slow, and even with dating apps, which I've used ever since they've been around, just the mere fact of having a disability and moving around in a wheelchair made it a lot more difficult for me to connect with people, with men, with gay men, especially because I wanted to go to the places and date them and go on dates and try new restaurants and things. But it's just that as a whole, the society and the country is made so that people with disabilities cannot go and attend these events and cannot, more easily explore their sexuality. So things have been changing and taken a very abrupt turn in the sense that here in London, I have plenty of access to transport and it's free, right? And then I can get to the places. I can invite my friends to the movies because I get an extra ticket for free, or I can invite them to the theater. So I think it's more easy when it comes to the logistics. What I think has been very, very similar to Costa Rica is that there's still a lot of stereotypes around disability, right? There's still a lot of fear, and you can sense the fear and the insecurity from people, from non-disabled people. But I think, however, even though that is similar, there tends to be a little bit more aperture in general. I think at least I'm getting more matches. I don't think I'm getting as many sexual encounters as I thought I would be getting, but it's definitely increased in the sense of like aperture from more people on dating apps. Now I'm going to say as a disclaimer, I'm not actually actively dating, like, or pursuing dates on dating apps, because I was just doing a master's last year when I first arrived in London. Then I had to sort out my immigration status, which took me around 6 months. Now I'm more settled down. I was in the process of looking for a job. Now I have a job. So thankful for that. And now I'm looking for a house. So, I've been like in one challenge after the other, and it's been quite the journey. So I think once I'm a bit more settled down, I'll be able to invest a bit more on this part of my life that I totally try to balance. And it's one of my priorities in life as well, as a person with a disability and as an activist in sexuality and disability. So yeah, I hope that sort of answers the question.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I think like the world of online dating is quite a complicated one at the best of times, isn't it? And it feels like when gender with a disability, that is made that much harder.
I agree. It's very complicated to balance two communities, as I was saying, as you were saying in the introduction, right? It's kind of like I always think back to when I was 15 and I first came out. And I was like, I was already part of the people with disabilities community. And now I'm entering our, expressing and identifying as part of this other community of LGBTQ plus. What could go wrong? And a lot of things went wrong. But yeah, so it's kind of weird to embody two communities in one person.
Yeah, it feels like sometimes that's quite a way to go for that sort of nurturing to be more natural. And I know like, there's a lot more talk around intersectionality nowadays, but actually sometimes when it comes down to it, that's obviously only talk from my own experience, but my experience of the gay male community, it, it can not always, but it can be quite tough to have another diversity, another intersectionality, and feel like you kind of accept it.
Yeah, I will say on that, I've always thought, and maybe you can also say your opinion on this, but I've always wondered what would have happened if I would still be disabled, but also a woman, and maybe a lesbian woman, because I do believe that when it comes to male and male encounters with people with disabilities, um, it tends to be a little bit more tricky, right? And I think I'm overgeneralizing for sure, but I've been reading a couple of academic articles on it, and just seems like, you know, whenever my friends, what I can tell from my experience is that whenever my friends tell me like, it's fine, you're gonna find someone, more people with disabilities are dating, and they send me examples that they find online, it's usually a woman who has a disability dating someone who is non-disabled. And again, this is a generalization, and I'm sure it doesn't happen this way all the time. It's just that it tells a lot of how the cisgender male community from the queer and LGBTQ plus communities is just it's reproducing a lot of the physical stereotypes and the dynamics that we wanted to sort of leave behind, but not. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe something that doesn't help is kind of the online dating community because like a lot of queer and gay dating apps kind of invite you to put yourself in the box and also like church, I hate the way you get narrowed down searching for particular people and out there in the real world we can't do that. We're not, we can't search down and narrow it down to much.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
So my next question is, what do you find empowering?
Whew, okay. This is a very difficult question just because I find so many things empowering, but I feel like the one I want to touch more on right now, and because of the theme of the interview as well, right, and how we've been talking a lot about sexuality and disability, is that I find vulnerability to be empowering. I find that the best connections I've made in my life are those where I've put more of myself out there and let them know even the ways that I fear some things and the ways that other people fear some things, the way that they don't understand me in many different layers, but I can also try to make myself seen, because I think vulnerability, that's exactly what it does. It helps other people see you, and then that translates into a better connection, into a better way of loving and expressing affection as well. So yeah, what I find empowering, and also not just on dating, is vulnerability. I think in all other areas of my life, I try to be as vulnerable as possible, meaning that I tend to mix all of these terms because I think they're very related, but right, like vulnerability helps you put yourself out there, put a very authentic version of you. And people know, I think most people will really understand when you're being authentic. And it shows in my videos, for example, which is something that I've been very happy about since I moved to London. I increased a lot when it comes to my digital presence, especially on TikTok. And then when I became viral last year, it just, it so happened that people were engaging more with my content whenever I was not trying to force it. So I try to keep it in all of the areas: my professional life, my academic life, everything, but especially my love life, sure, and my friends, which are part of my love life. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that authenticity is like one of the most powerful things that we can be in a world where young people and image can be quite superficial sometimes. So to kind of be real and like you said, vulnerable and show people, this is me, this is who I am. I think I can only talk for myself, but it can take a level of bravery. But I think if you're able to get past that, then it kind of means that like people will connect with you on a whole another level.
Yeah. And I think also, like, vulnerability, it doesn't mean that, because it, or no, actually vulnerability also means that by doing that and by expressing your authentic self and who you are, or who you try to be as well, because it changes, and it changes from time to time. I don't think I was the same person I was prior to coming to London, right? So I think when I do all these things, it just feels more easy. Imagine if as people with disabilities, you and I would, all of a sudden try to just imitate an unattainable image, right? Which is what a lot of people do, regardless of disability or not. And I don't blame any person who does that. I myself do it sometimes, because that's the way that our society has wired us a little bit. But when it finally happens that you get to meet people with who you can be a bit more yourself, and it's easy to be yourself. And it happened ever since I came out when I was 15. I just keep trying to feel that sense of ease when I am myself. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So my next question is, what difference would you like to see or make in the world?
What difference would you like to? So many differences. I feel I would hope this is something that I talk a lot about when it comes to disability and sexuality and any other um, rights and themes about disability that I go and speak with companies and people and institutions. It's about what I really want to see is people not assuming and asking more, you know. I don't think accessibility comes from lifts and from any other tool in itself if in the end I don't connect with the people around me, be that my peers from work, be that my managers, my educators, everyone else, my family, my lover, my friends. If I don't connect with them, then why are these systems put in place anyway, right? So I feel like whenever I click more with people and connect with them is when they let me be vulnerable. But for that, I need them to ask more, to let me be me, to let me express who I am. And so instead of assuming like, oh, Alex cannot go to this pub, then maybe we can, just ask them and ask Alex, like, okay, do you think you can go to this pub? And I'll make sure I'll look into it, I'll do the research, or maybe I'll call the pub or whatever it takes. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's the difference, the main difference that I want to see. People not assuming as much when it comes to disability, but actually people asking questions, getting to understand us, getting to know who we are. And in the end, they'll find out you and I, Leo, we're pretty much, human beings, and that's it.
And like she is that accessibility is as much about people's attitude and the way people interact with people with disabled people as it is about our buildings and our physical environment. Yeah, that really important. It is really great to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining me, Alex. Where and how can people connect with you?
Again, thank you so much. People can connect with me online, literally any platform you can think of. I'm probably there. And the handle is at the Wheels Blog, THEWHEELSBLOG, just in case, because I feel like some people get it like wheels is a different word. But anyway, the Wheels Blog. Also, you can find all of my main channels at www.thewheelsblog.com. And yeah, where I'm more active is Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, and you can always send me a message or anything. I'm an open book.
Great, and I'll share all your social media, like your blog and your website with this interview. So thanks everybody who watched this. Check out all the other conversations and find out more about my question and speaking. And H's interviews will be back soon with another powerful conversation. Bye for now.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.